So when it comes to U.S. immigration, we seem to be living in a time of tremendous uncertainty. You know, policies change, and sometimes agencies are slow to catch up. Immigration cases are delayed for months, even years beyond the expected completion. And sometimes the best option is to, well, take the government to court and sue for action. Anyway, here with us today to talk a little bit more about this is Eric Welsh from the law firms of Reeves, Miller, Zhang, and Diza. Eric, welcome back.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again.
Good to be here.
So here we go again. We know that immigration, Eric, is not quite the fastest of systems. You know, it requires a lot of patience because of all the waiting involved in the process. But can you actually sue the immigration services when an immigration application takes much longer than
you can.
you would desire?
You can, yeah. So federal law actually says that when the government is taking too long beyond a reasonable time, you can bring them to court. There's rules that compel the government to take action. They don't have to approve an application, but they have to do something.
There you go. Well, what options does an immigrant have when it comes to, well, suing the government? I mean, it's tricky to say it, but what options do they have?
Sure, and you know, sometimes we got to do it. You know, we don't like to litigate, we don't like to sue, we shouldn't live in a sue-happy country, but sometimes when rights are being repressed, you have to take the other person to court. So broadly speaking, in the immigration context, there's two types of lawsuits. There's the mandamus lawsuit. Mandamus is a demand to do something. That's to compel the government to take action. The other one is declaratory or injunctive. That means you're asking the government to do something specific, either because they're misapplying the law or they've already denied your application and you think they did it incorrectly. So you're saying you did something wrong, we want you to fix it. But mandamus is the one for those delayed applications.
So, well, Eric, let's talk more about the mandamus option that you just mentioned. What exactly does this lawsuit seek? Let's expound on it a little bit more.
Absolutely. So, like I mentioned before, federal law actually compels the government to do its job, right? So it says that when you have a right and you are seeking that right, the government has to take action. Now, it's important to note, it's a good warning that a mandamus does not mean that you're telling the government to approve an application. You're asking them to do something. That might be a denial. So if the government's going to deny, they might deny your application. But then you might have other rights. You might have a right to appeal that denial. You might have a right to challenge that denial in another way. What they can't do is do nothing. That's not an option. So a mandamus is reminding the government that they have to do something.
Okay, now, how does a person win a mandamus lawsuit?
Well, they got to prove a couple of things, three things specifically. They have to prove that they have a right to what they're seeking. They have to prove that the government has a duty to do the thing that they're asking them to do. And they've got to prove that they've tried everything else to resolve the issue. It's called exhaustion. So those first two kind of work in tandem. You kind of go to the immigration laws and you say, I've got a right to apply for a green card, or I've got a right to apply for citizenship. It's because it's existing in federal law. And the government has a duty to at least consider my application. And then the third one, exhaustion, that means you have to show the federal judge that you've tried everything to try and fix this before you brought it to court. The judges don't like to handle cases unless you've done everything possible before you sued the government.
Now, you mentioned also earlier another type of lawsuit, which is the declaratory. Let's talk about that a little bit more.
Sure. Yeah, declaratory relief is telling the government that they have misapplied the law. So this is sometimes if an application has been denied and maybe you've done all the appeals or maybe there are no appeals possible and you are really confident or your lawyer's really confident that they didn't do the right thing. So you can take them to court and a judge can agree with you and tell the government that they need to apply the law differently. So it's more than just telling them to take action, it's telling them to take this specific action.
Well, they can't do it alone, obviously. They're going to need your help. Right, Eric?
That's right.
So can we please help me invite our nation?
Oh, certainly, absolutely. Well, if you think that you've got a case that's pending way too long or you think the government has applied the law wrong in your case, talk to a lawyer. Please call my office at the number on your screen or visit our website at rreeves.com. We've got offices in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas. We represent people across the country.
Mga nation, like Eric and I sort of mentioned, it is important that you know your right, especially when it comes to U.S. immigration, especially in these times. Of course, the last thing we want is for anybody to have to sue the government or the immigration services process gets longer and more complicated. But in the event that you have to do it, you know who to call. Eric, once again, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Eric
Thank
Welsh
you.
Mandamus from the law firm of Reeves, Miller, Zhang, and Diza.